and welcome at the debate on Pakistan TV. We're going to be taking a look at the very successful visit by the Prime Minister to Saudi Arabia that has resulted in a strategic defense pact that has been signed between the two countries. And this is very, very important because the kind of terms that are coming out from this pact institutionalize the relationship that Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have enjoyed for quite some time now. Both countries have a huge historical background and, of course, deep respect for each other. And the cooperation has existed for quite some time now. But what this defense pact does, it puts that into a formal way forward, especially in the current given international scenario at the moment and the way that different dynamics continue to exist with reference to what has happened recently in Doha by Israel and, of course, generally in the Middle East as well, with the genocide continuing in Gaza and then, of course, the attacks on more than 7 countries now by Israeli forces. And this is important also in terms of the possibilities of a cooperation that can exist not just between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, but of course other Gulf or Arab states and in the larger Middle Eastern region as to oppose what is going on in terms of Israel's expansionist designs, and then of course put forward a unified stance and a defense bloc that will be concerning to other partners in the international community. Statements have also come out from within the neighborhood. India's MEA has put out a statement as well in terms of how they're closely monitoring the situation, and of course the impact of that will go a long way in terms of the very important aspect of aggression on one, meaning aggression on both. And this is essential in terms of the way that we want to take a look forward towards a more unified stance and whether or not the possibilities of that expanding to other countries exist. For now, of course, in terms of Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, this is a very, very essential and landmark achievement and has repercussions not just for the bilateral relationship of both these countries, but of course the larger regional and international arena. We're going to be taking a look at this in our show today. For this and more, as always in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farooq Badafi and Raja Faisal, and we've also been joined online by a Saudi political and media analyst Khalid Al-Mina and Air Commodore Khalid Chishti, who's also a defense analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us and being a part of the discussion today. And Mr. Khalid Al-Mina, I'm going to start with you because I want your perspective first in terms of how you are viewing this relationship and the way it has been formalized now through this defense pact between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Given the timing of this pact, given the current circumstances in the global stage, where do you think that this landmark achievement stands and what sort of impact it will create for global politics?
I think it is a landmark achievement, but at the same time, it's a milestone in that sense. If you remember that the Pakistan Saudi Arabia cooperation in various aspects, especially in the military field, goes a long time back during the time of King Faisal bin Abdulaziz, who there was the Saudi Air Force training, the Saudi Army, many Saudi personnel took training in Pakistan, the Navy. So I think this is part of a process that was going on, but it sort of became a little bit slow over the years because of the inter-Arab problems that were happening. So the focus was more on within the Middle East. Now, after Qatar, I think there's a wake-up call that there has to be some kind of sustained effort by the powers that be in the region to depend more on themselves rather than look right and left. And Pakistan is a key and a natural ally, strategic ally, has been always been there, has been focusing, whether it's the United Nations or on other fields, political international fields, been a great supporter of the Palestine issue. So I am not surprised that now it has been formalized. The Crown Prince is a no-nonsense man, and he has come out openly and said we need to have good relations and collaborations. And if you could see the body language in the pictures that came yesterday, and even some of them trickled onto the newspapers here today, it is, I think, a very positive development. But having said that, I think it's very important that we don't get overexcited because some of the analysts were talking about the nuclear umbrella, others were talking. Now, this is besides the point. The point and the main and the key issue is that there is going to be cooperation in the defense field and hopefully in other fields.
Right. Mr. Khalid, I want your perspective also in terms of how you view this possibility expanding to other countries as well. This, of course, is very, very integral to Pakistan and Saudi's relationship. But when we take a look at the larger situation in the Middle East, especially after the attack on Doha, do you think that possibilities of such defense pacts with other countries also exists?
And if you can also shed some light on the existing cooperation between Saudi Arabia and US they already have, will there be any impact on that cooperation?
So going first, I think the other countries in the region are watching these developments. The neighbors, of course, the GCC countries, the larger two countries are Egypt and Turkey. They will be watching this. I think there's going to be on a positive mode, so things will be okay. Regarding the other question, whether the Americans have always been fair weather friends to all of them, as you have noticed, whether it was Pakistan or other countries and all. So I don't think so. They would say anything. Right now, I have not seen any statement from the United States per se, and on a senior level. I don't think so it will have any effect on that because Saudi Arabia and the United States have a long and extensive period of economic cooperation. Our armaments came from there. So I don't think so there's going to be a sort of 90-degree turn or something. But you are right. I mean, we have to watch and see and wait what's going to happen. And at the same time, there is a realization that you see you have to get new armaments, do your own things, because now, wars are not just planes, they are IT, they are so many kind of other things and issues. So I think there will be a slight change in the mode of how we do things.
Right, and Mr. Khalid, in terms of this being extended to other countries, particularly Qatar, do you think that that's a possibility that we're going to see in the recent future?
Well, I think we can't hip shoot right now, but I think there will be because once they see that there is a success on this road of cooperation and defense assistance between both countries, I think yes, others might come in, but they have to bring something to the table. You know, we have to be careful. Saudi Arabia is a large country. Pakistan is a country also that has got a good army and air force and navy. So I think it has to be a step. I think this is a baby step approach right now. And I caution many of the analysts not to jump the gun and come up with how we go around and do things. The true question is we have to see to it that this is a sustained effort by two leaders, one who's focusing the Crown Prince on economic development, made sea changes in the whole area, and on the other, Pakistan, which has really to come up to grips with the harsh reality of also living in a hostile neighborhood, as they say.
Yeah, Khalid, very quickly, you have mentioned that the success would be assessed. What would be the parameter of assessment of the success? Wouldn't it be like this, that both of the countries, if they have agreed upon this pact, it means that there is an unseen deterrence for obviously Israel, because Israel is heading towards creating a sort of influence, a bad influence on all over Middle East, and in this pact, of course, it is like a deterrent. So it is already there. So if this is the success, then why not the rest of the Middle Eastern countries, especially the GCC countries, they will be looking towards it?
Yeah, I'll be more than glad if they do it right away, because Israel is not only looking around, Israel is openly challenging the geographical borders that it has. They're openly showing new maps which consist of land grabs from so many other countries. They're supported by certain Western countries.
Right. Mr. Khalid, we've unfortunately lost sound and we're unable to hear you. But we'll try and reconnect once again and get your views in the debate. Farooq, I want your take on this too, particularly in terms of the ways that true potential of this pact will be achieved. What do you think can be some key areas or challenges that need to be addressed for us to realize the true potential of this pact?
Thank you very much, Sana. I think that this is an opportune moment in the history of both Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. I think this relationship speaks about the vision and leadership of the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the Defense Minister of Saudi Arabia, also Khalid bin Salman, and then Prime Minister of Pakistan and our Army Chief. I think it speaks volumes about the brotherhood between the two countries. But let me take you back to the day when Qatar summit was taking place. At that time, I had actually told you, you were a bit skeptical, and I told you that defense agreements are coming. There are two developments. One is, of course, yesterday's development, and I'm going to go into scope of that and various aspects. But then today, there was a meeting of GCC leadership. And in that, they have, in principle, remember my Green Dome comment? They have actually agreed in principle to speed up their efforts to develop a joint ballistic, anti-ballistic shield or process.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So essentially the Green Dome.
Essentially, my point has been adopted, right? Similarly, when you talk about Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, in the past, we also had various agreements. In 1982, we did have some. And that actually essentially went to the extent of deploying 15,000 Pakistani soldiers around the two holy mosques and various parts of Saudi Arabia. But now we have formalized it. Just look at the language and what does it imply. An attack on one will be considered an attack on both. So do you know what that means? It means that if, for Pakistan, every inch of Saudi Arabia is also Pakistan. And for Saudi Arabia, every inch of Pakistan is also Saudi Arabia. So that means that whatever we can do for our security, we are going to do it for them as well. Now there are various aspects. One, joint military exercises, then development of strategic commonalities between the two countries, then development of weapons, and finally, when it comes to sharing, intelligence sharing and technology sharing as well. These are massive, massive developments. But that is not all. You have seen how Indians are behaving. You have seen how Israeli commentators are behaving. Honestly, I'm done with whatever is happening in India. I'm done with whatever is happening in Israel. I don't have bandwidth to worry about them or whatever they are concerned about. But remember, because neocons were essentially an outfit that was sponsored by these two countries, what they actually try to do is they want to actually revert to the old game. They want to actually talk about, oh, nuclear, perhaps something bad is going to happen. Come on, Israel is known for Mordechai Vanunu, and it is known for its own nuclear program, which is quite contentious. Israel is the only country which is behaving irrationally. India is one country that almost invaded Pakistan, right? Or at least they wanted to. And then, is it correct to actually call India's bomb Hindu bomb, or Israel's bomb, Jewish bomb? No, because bombs don't have religions. So it is not about nuclear aspects. The fact remains that the world has moved beyond that. It used to be a concern in the last century. Since last century, since 1945, no country has used nuke, right? But cooperation is very important.
Absolutely.
Cooperation is important, and now because of AI, because of so much technology that is going on, I believe that EMPs and other weapon systems, that now all these talks don't stick, because now nobody likes neocons, nobody likes Israel, nobody likes India. India's Prime Minister spent entire day of yesterday, entirety of India's national, soft power to just elicit as many happy birthday messages from world leaders as possible. If that is your national interest, that Modi ji be happy, then I want you to be happy, right? But if you want serious business, instead of trying to actually scandalize the whole thing, come and talk to us, make peace with Pakistan. And Israel should make peace with the Muslim Ummah, with all the Muslim countries. I think that that attack on Qatar was the stupidest mistake any country can do. And it is a mistake. And by the way, before that, there was another mistake.
Yeah.
In the past, Iran was the boogeyman of the region, right? Everybody, whenever Israel wanted countries to actually unite with it or stand by it, it would actually point to Iran and say, look, that is the boogeyman, that is the enemy. And then you went and degraded its defenses. Now, because Iran's threat has almost been eliminated, now the region sees only one country that might pose threat, and that is Israel. And it seems to be attacking incrementally. So they want to actually now take proper precautions. And he spoke about something very interesting. He spoke about, Faisal spoke about, the US. One aspect that is very important, and that goes in relations. I think that the US-America relations and Pakistan-America relations, Pakistan-Saudi relations are not mutually exclusive. We work in tandem, we support each other, and then the fact is that what happens, America has committed to the security of Saudi Arabia. But the problem lies with one fact. It has also committed to the safety and security of Israel. So what do you do when you have two allies fighting among themselves? So then they get more support from elsewhere. So Pakistan comes in.
Absolutely, and that's going to be very, very essential in terms of maintaining that balance. Mr. Khalid, I'll come back to you, and I hope you can hear me. Mr. Khalid, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So, Mr. Khalid, I want your take on this too in terms of the precarious balance that exists in terms of the alliances that we know and how this particular defense pact or others like these will play out in the long term, and how exactly will the very important term in terms of making sure that any aggression against one is aggression against both is played out in its true spirit. How do you think that will be applicable when different alliances that exist and are concerning to both parties also are involved in the dynamics?
And Mr. Maina, I've been following your work for quite some time, a huge fan of yours. Let me actually add a question here regarding the longevity of any such defense pact, because at this moment there seems to be an external stimulus, and because of that such agreements are forged. But do you think that minus any such stimulus also, there's a possibility that this pact will continue and it will not face the same kind of nature of contradictions that we saw in NATO?
Well, I think it would, because this cooperation between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia has been going on for years since I was in college, and I early remarked during the time of King Faisal. Then it went down. Yes, we looked westward. People were looking towards the United States and all, but you are right, the stimulus that has come with the attack on Qatar was at the same time the Saudi government has its own foreign policy and its own interests. We may be allied economically with the United States, with certain other countries and all, but in the final analysis, it's our main domestic importance that is valuable to us. So it's good that we do that. You also, somebody spoke about the bomb and the Islamic bomb and here and there. I don't think so it has to do with bombs or something. It has to do with a sustained cooperation. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next month. It's going to take some time to align yourself, to think, to have battlefield protection procedures and all. And it's not a hostile. Let me just, as people outside are thinking it's a hostile move, it is not. It's a move for self-preservation. It's a move to have be our own guardians, and it's a move that really makes us less dependent on others.
Yeah, Brother Khalid, here is a scenario in which we have seen very recently, of course, that US was hand and glove with Israel when Israel was attacking Iran. And this time around, if for the sake of Israel, US, who happens to be an ally of Saudi Arabia, uses the airspace of Saudi Arabia, or somehow uses one of the places where it has already placed himself inside Saudi Arabia, and uses the airspace of Saudi Arabia to attack Iran. In that context, we have seen precedents already set in which the Qatar, of course, was retaliated against by Iran. In this whole scenario, where do we see Saudi Arabia? Will it stop US not using its airspace?
Well, I don't think so. First of all, they will not allow it. Secondly, the Americans don't need to use. They have bombers coming from Diego Garcia, as you saw in Iraq, planes flying over the Indian Ocean from wherever it is. So they don't need to, because the government would not allow this to happen. And even regarding Qatar, I mean, the Aidid air base was not used. I mean, these days you don't need. You have fuel tankers flying 24 hours around the globe. So I don't think so. If there's an attack on Iran, God forbid, by anyone, they have to go through Saudi airspace, or they could go around, they could skirt. The Israelis have friends in many quarters of the world. So I don't think so, and I categorically know that there will be no use of use of Saudi airspace, or no utilization of Saudi airspace on any attack on a neighboring country.
Right. Mr. Maina, I actually spoke about nuclear aspect because it has been in the grapevine. You must have seen neocons like Zalmay Khalilzad actually scandalizing the whole idea and trying to hijack it. Unfortunately for him or other neocons, they are not now accepted in their own homelands. But regardless, because since you actually spoke about that, I also mentioned that. Let me ask you another very important thing. We know that this is the age of AI, and countries, even UAE has invested hugely in AI, and there seems to be a need for of cooperation between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Do you think that Saudi Arabia is investing immensely or enough in compute that is needed for AI? And how can Pakistan be a part of that, and how can we work together on that too?
Well, usually I don't boast neither about myself nor about my country, but I think the Saudis are among the top 4 in the use of AI and all. There's nothing that is done. Government services are almost finished here. Everything is done through the computers at home, whether it's exit, re-entry, marriages, divorce, everything is done. So they've got advanced. There's a conference called the LEAP conference, and I think the AI is being used in many aspects, young entrepreneurs, and they took like fish to water. I think one of the things that the Crown Prince did was to have an influx of young people join the workforce, men and women. And I say it with great humility, as somebody also who's a skeptic about the young Saudis coming in and out. They have done a wonderful job, and I think you're right. AI is needed. Pakistan also does not lack talent in this field, and I think it's very important that they work together to come up and create solutions that could be used for defense, and for economic advancement. So yes, here I think we are among the top 5 in the use of every government aspect of services is done through the house. You don't even need to get out of your house.
That's
Absolutely. Mr. Khalid, there's also, of course, the cooperation in terms of military exercises and defense production. And this part is important in terms of how much support can be extended through this pact in terms of local or indigenous defense production as well. And then, of course, improvement in different technologies. And I want your take in terms of how much of that will lead to certain investments in Pakistan, and how certain economic challenges can also play a major role in the scale that can be achieved through this cooperation.
Especially, Mr. Khalid, when we talk about research and development sector of different universities of Pakistan, like NUST itself, of course, they have heavily contributed in terms of military tech. Can we say that this very pact would be extended towards research and development as well?
R&D and
Yes,
policy.
because its military field, as I said, it's not just planes and bombs and tanks. It has to have an IT and AI focus on that. I think yes. I think as it's too soon, it's too early. It's only 48 hours, but I think yes, along the way, a roadmap has to be done to focus on issues that align everything, defense, the economy, and all. At the same time, Pakistan also has to see that its economic vision, its economic aspirations are there that can be really realized. So both can go in tandem.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Khalid Al Maina, for joining us and sharing your very important views on this. Faisal, I want your take on this too, because it's important in terms of the ways that Pakistan fully realizes the potential of this pact. And while, of course, the dynamic with India is very, very important for Pakistan, given the current scenario, there's also importance in terms of making these investments and to realize these investments in their true form. How much of that do you think is possible given the current circumstances? And how do you think that the neighborhood, including the aspects with regards to India, but also with regards to trilateral cooperation that can exist with China, can play a huge role through the Defence Pact?
Yes, and now obviously, when we talk about Pakistan and India, that long-standing conflict is still there. And of course, when we talk about this very pact which we have concluded with the Saudi Arabia, I think it is going to play a pivotal role in terms that India has already started showing the jittery behavior since yesterday. They have no clue what to say on this. Reason being, they were trying to, alienate Pakistan in the Middle East as well, not knowing that we have, relations with them. Once they were called that these are not, normal diplomatic relations we have. We have the very special relations. Why I say this? Because I remember when King Fahd, when he was ruling over Saudi Arabia, he had constant calls from Washington, from President Bill Clinton, telling him to, of course, squeeze Pakistan when Pakistan was heading towards the nuclear tests. And at that time, he said to him that though we are a country who have signed non-proliferation, but at the same time, with Pakistan, we haven't got the normal relations. We have very special brotherly relations. That's why we will be standing. He openly said it, that we will be standing with Pakistan at any cost. In this whole scenario, when we talk about the current situation, I mean, I have time and again, previously mentioned it as well, that of course, US has been playing its role in the region, in the Middle East, in Gulf countries, just because of one reason, that there weren't any alternate to what military technology they were providing with the world. And now there is one, and that is Chinese technology. And that Chinese technology was displayed excellently, flawlessly by Pakistan, and Pakistan excels on it, and Pakistan has proven it extremely well. And now everyone is looking towards the east. That's why I kept on mentioning right after the Doha attack that I think it's time that the Gulf countries, they need to look towards the east rather than the west. And that is why I believe China is already extending cooperation, and China is ready to extend more cooperation to the Gulf countries. And Pakistan can play a pivotal role, because Pakistan is bridging between China and the Gulf countries. In this whole scenario, I believe when it comes to CPEC, when it comes to Pakistan's economic needs, which will be delivered by, of course, the Gulf countries, and at the same time from the Chinese side as well. And Pakistan can brilliantly bridge between both of the GCC countries and the China. And at the same time, the challenges which are being, of course, faced by Pakistan in terms of Pakistan fighting against the terrorism since a long time, since more than 20 years, I think now Saudis, they will be playing their role, because they have, of course, concluded it that whatever the threats to Pakistan are, they're equally a threat to Saudi Arab. And when it comes to Saudis having any threats, that's an equally threat to Pakistan. So now India needs to be cautious about
Right.
what they believe in and what they want as a resolve in terms of Pakistan. And to me, I think they will be extra cautious now for the future. And if they want to
Absolutely.
have any cordial relations with the GCC countries, of course, they have to rethink on what lines they want to keep Pakistan busy on the Western Front.
Right. Let us also welcome in the debate Mr. Khalid Chisti, who's a retired Air Commodore. Thank you very much, Khalid, sir, for joining us and being part of the discussion. I want your take also in terms of what you think of this landmark defense pact between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. And of course, not just in the regional dynamics with regards to India, as we were just discussing, but also in the larger sense as to what this means for Pakistan's geopolitical position.
Thank you, Sana, for inviting me. This has a great history. This has not come just all of a sudden. We have had a close ties with Saudi Arabia, and even on 20th of November 1979, this is almost 46 years back, when the holy places, Harman al-Sharif, were captured or overpowered by some terrorists. They were about 200, 250 in number. And obviously they made all the pilgrims or the people who were praying, they were made hostage. And this hostage situation was overcome. The terrorist was killed, none other than Pakistan Army commandos back in 1979. So that is the history that we need to keep in mind. And since then, we've had a lot of training opportunities being offered by Pakistan to Saudi armed forces in general. I also had the honor and privilege of teaching at their National Defense University from Pakistan side. And this is decades of friendship and trust and comfort that we have. This is an unprecedented from the angle that now the situation has changed. Israel has come up very openly, very aggressively, and all out in public that it's going to neutralize anybody who, obviously, according to her perception, is siding the other party. So this is so unfortunate what happened in Qatar. And this was a good signal for all Arabs in general, and particularly Qatar and Saudi Arabia. This is high time that they need to trust less towards and look less towards United States and look towards the other side, where they have more trust and comfortable relations, and most importantly, the reliable relationship, which can be obviously available at the time of the crisis. So I think it's very wise on the both countries' point of view. Pakistan, obviously, not very economically strong as Saudi Arabia, but militarily, we've had a great history. We have also had a great track record of the armed forces. And recently, we re-established our worth and re-established our credibility as a very responsible nuclear state, which was very, very conscious of not touching any nuclear boundaries. At the same time, in conventional warfare, we obviously sent out a great message to the world and to our enemy across the border that this is not the country which you can take on and make anything new normal. That has been appreciated not by Arab world, but globally also. Those are the factors which have brought these countries closer. And this is a win-win situation, because this is a place or a vacuum which has been created not by us. It has been created by United States because of a kind of discomfort that the Arab friends have felt because of the decisions of the United States, that if they have to choose between the Arab country and the Israel, they would side, or they are likely to side the Israel. This is a kind of which assured kind of partnership that they have from the security guarantees point of view. They found America to be found wanting, and that's probably given a great opportunity to Pakistan, and that's a blessing. And last point on this is that this is not a typical defense agreement between the two countries. I think we have an emotional attachment to defend that country because of the holy places that it has. So there is an added value to this agreement, and we should keep that in mind, and we all should be proud of it as Pakistanis.
Absolutely. But what does it do in terms of the dynamics that you're just pointing out, particularly when we talk about the US and Israel nexus, or even in terms of India? Where do you think that these alliances will then play out once we see this pact manifest itself?
And Chisti Saab, especially when we talk about, US President Donald Trump is actually seeking Bagram Air Base back with the US Air Force. And how will that play in terms that we know that China is our best friend? Of course, Saudi Arabia is in alliance with us now. We are having the pact with them. And at the same time, Saudis are having a pact with, of course, alliance with the US as well.
I think you have brought the right point because you see, America could be uncomfortable with the present situation because we are trying, or we have tried to, through this negotiation and peace agreement, we've tried to fill in the vacuum which United States left, obviously, and it could obviously be not make them very, very excited and happy about it. But that's the reality. Nothing of our doing. We established on one side, we can defend our country all by ourselves because our armed forces are not meant to go across. What will happen is in this area, what I foresee is that it's going to be a capacity building on both sides. What United States is doing, obviously, it'll try to regain the lost ground in any way, either in the form of a reclaiming or occupying another base. But they've had a lot of bases in the region, but does it contribute to the regional stability? The answer probably is not likely. So it's a new normal which has probably had to take place. America had to live up to the expectation of the friendly countries, obviously, where over the years it had been taking oil against the security of the. That means you give us the oil cheaper and we provide you the security. But that has not worked out. And that the Arab countries, probably Qatar and especially Saudi Arabia, must have realized that this United States is probably in no more a security guarantors, a kind of partner in assured kind of defense, or in at least contributing toward the defense. Now the confrontation is very obvious. Either you are with us or against us. That's what the Israelis are saying. So America had to take one side, and unfortunate part for Arab countries, particularly Saudi Arabia and Qatar, the Americans have taken sides of the Israel.
Air Commodore Chishti, since we are talking about this specific moment in history, I wanted you to tell us whether this moment is only limited to Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, because today we saw what transpired at GCC also, and there seems to be a growing security concern among all GCC countries. Do you think that this kind of pact that we forged between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan is going to be there between Pakistan and other countries as well?
According to my perception, I see it coming in a natural way because the Americans have not only made Qatar uncomfortable, but by and large, the other countries which were relying closely or very, very intimately on America, that America will look after their interests too. But now there is a realization, what I was saying a while ago, that the people in Arab countries have realized that if the US was to choose between us and Israel, Israel will be given preference always. And these days, the security threat is mostly to these countries is from Israel, obviously. So I see many more countries. I believe that if they go by logic, they by calculation, or they by filling the vacuum, or they go by statistics, I think they need to, or they should incline towards this pact. And I foresee it that this affair or the bilateral relation that we today have should turn out to be into multilateral relation between many other countries, because that will give us more strength. Let me also add here, when the two countries join, or even more countries join, they basically collaborate on two fronts. One is that the capacity that they built together, and the kind of resolve that is added to the unity, obviously. What are we looking forward from Saudi Arabia, or what Saudi Arabia is looking from us, is the capacity building and the resolve and the determination or the strength. What we have added in place of America is the element of trust in the minds of Saudis. That, okay, whenever we have an agreement with you, we are not going to look here and there, or we are not going to be in doubt if there is a choice between Israel and Saudi Arabia. We have to go with Saudi Arabia. So I think that's a kind of assured collaboration that has brought Saudi Arabia closer to Pakistan.
Right. Khalid Saab, there's also, of course, the concern that while we talk about the importance of this bilaterally, there's also the importance of what is going on within the region, particularly the timing after the impact of what has happened in terms of the airstrike against Doha. And this is important also in terms of the Arab Islamic Summit, and then how the GCC or the Gulf countries can actually collaborate for such defense pact to exist. How do you think that this will play out in the longer run for Israel, and whether or not there will be at least a rethinking of how it has already moved in more than 7 countries? Do you think that that possibility of this being a much larger defense pact exists, and that is concerning for Israel?
Absolutely, it should be, because it's not no more a walk-in or walk-away kind of option with Israel like it was in the case of Qatar. if there is a collaboration, close collaboration and military tie between Saudi Arab and Pakistan, obviously Israel would, I believe, think 10 times before coming in and violating anybody's sovereignty. And that is because of our track record of last almost 5 decades or so. As a young fighter pilot, I've been involved in defending our nuclear program when it was in the process of obviously materializing. And at that time also, we had a threat from the two countries against our nuclear installations, one from India and the other from Israel. They did not dare to attack last 50 years because of the fact that Pakistan had full capability of retaliating and making the nose bleed on the other side also. That actually deters the war. What I'm trying to bring home is that if Pakistan and Saudi Arab joined hand together, it will not only build capability, enhance our equipment, infrastructure, aeroplanes, tanks, submarines, and everything, whatever the leaders of the armed forces decide, it will also augment the kind of trust that we have in each other. We would know there is another brother behind me or on side of me who's there. But in case of America, America has left probably that vacuum which is being occupied by Pakistan. And inshallah, Pakistan's capability resolved the track record of many wars, and recently May 2025, many more countries should feel more comfortable with Pakistan as compared to any other countries of the region, and especially the new normal coming up where the Russia is becoming itself a power, the China is coming out to be a new global player, obviously, especially on the economic front. Probably things would turn into our favor because we've earned this credibility and we have earned this strength and the new status that we have, alhamdulillah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Khalid Shishti Saab, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. Farooq, you want to add something?
Yeah, but I wanted to address a few points that are very important and they keep on coming up. One, bilateral and multilateral, right? Regarding Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, let me tell you one thing. Whatever agreement has been forged, it is going to be bilateral. Of course, there is a possibility of similar agreements with other countries, GCC
Yeah, that's
countries.
what I mean.
Yeah, or there's also a possibility of one multilateral agreement like NATO
Yeah,
in the region
yeah.
that is separate from this. We have a unique historical relationship with our Saudi brothers, and that will, inshallah, keep on showing. Now, regarding China and the US, because repeatedly it is said that US might actually want to withdraw, or it has left a vacuum somewhere over here. To be honest, it is one role that Pakistan and America have been agreeing on, Pakistan playing since 1950s and 60s. So I don't think that is going to change. The US would want Pakistan to play a similar kind of role. Unfortunately, back in those days, there were two huge, setbacks, one 1971, the other internal issues as well. Because of that, perhaps we lost that kind of mental. I just want to remind everybody that this powerful young man that you're looking on your screens, were you looking at your screens, MBS, that is the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, Crown Prince also, is only 40 years old. And he has been in power for quite some time. And it shows you the kind of vision he has for his country. Already we have seen the kind of investment. But the US would want Pakistan to play this role. Why? Because it cannot act in this region without alienating one of the two parties which are very close to it. So it will want Pakistan to play this role. Then I was recently I was in China, and my impression or understanding from the talks that we had there, or we kept on hearing the commentary because SCO was going on as well, that it is exactly the kind of vision for Pakistan's role that China also wants Pakistan to play, right? And that means that there is a great power convergence of interest when it comes to Pakistan playing this security role in Middle East, in Arab countries. And because of that, in coming days, what we are going to see is Pakistan is going to really redouble its efforts to provide as much support to our Saudi brothers as possible. I keep on saying that Pakistan has no enmity with any country. It does not harbor malice against any country. But if you attack Pakistan, we are going to go crazy, right? Similarly, now it also holds for Saudi Arabia. if you annoy Saudi Arabia, we will go crazy,
Yeah.
and you will know what becomes of you.
And,
Yeah.
and Sana,
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that as Farooq has rightly pointed out, one aspect of it, and that is related to this reaching to the multilateralism. And I believe this is highly possible. Why I say this? Because very smartly, Israelis, what they have done is that you might remember that they used airspace freely of Syria and Iraq to attack Iran. So all of these countries, Iraq and Syria, I think they are looking for a resolve as well, because they want to have the airspace, they want to have their airspace back in their hands, and that could only be possible through, of course, a multilateralism, and something like NATO, and I see that something like NATO brewing in Middle East.
But Faisal,
Absolutely.
is Syria not in talks right now with Israel? It is, right?
It is just for getting the guarantees, but the kind of statements which were coming out from Al-Jalani, especially during this, this GCC summit,
Yeah.
the kind of he only said 4 sentences of his statement,
Yeah,
and
but-
it showed that he is disgruntled, and only because he wants to see peace, he's heading towards the
But what
Israel.
will that
But if
amount
he's
to?
having other options,
Actually,
of course.
this is the point. I think it was Shakespeare who said that men have this tragic weakness of not knowing limits of their power. So if we can carry on actually, kite flying, that we can actually provide security to perhaps Sudan, perhaps to Antarctica. But look, the fact is, what do we have on table? We have a security pact with one of the closest countries with Pakistan,
Yeah.
and I cannot begin to acknowledge how much we owe to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia also has also owed to Pakistan.
Yeah.
At every stumbling block, Saudi Arabia, may it be Kargil, may it be nuclearization, may it be any other
Right.
the situation, they were there and they were helping us. Similarly, whenever something bad happened to them, we were there supporting them, and we will continue to do that. So that one thing is for sure. Now, what comes next? Any of the GCC countries can have similar agreement with Pakistan.
Yeah.
But what we cannot do is just think that we will, a bilateral agreement, we want to add the third country or fourth country
Of
or fifth
course.
country.
Of course.
There can be a multilateral process, but honestly, Syria and Iraq, they are very difficult territories.
Right.
We have to actually focus on what we have, and I think focus on GCC countries first.
Absolutely, and to understand this dynamic and to see how it moves forward, the expansion, of course, of whether or not such agreements can actually move to other countries remains to be seen. But for now, this is a very good start and a landmark achievement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, and adds to whatever is going on in terms of concerns of possibilities of many other such agreements to exist. And whether or not that will actually happen, and will it curtail the expansionist designs of Israel? Will it also put concerns in other alliances such as the United States? Also is something that will be in focus in the developing days, and we'll be here to talk more about it. Thank you, Faisal. Thank you for joining us in debate. As always, that's all for now. We'll see you tomorrow.
You know why I was